been there. I've just seen it on shows. Oh, thanks, Bryan. All right. So he's joining us today. So thank you for joining us, Bryan. He knows AutoCAD, Civil 3D. He's I don't know. You want to introduce yourself, Bryan? You're the CAD manager, I assume, or BIM manager. I don't know what your title is up at Tetra Tech. Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So my name's Bryan Thomasy. I currently am employed by Tetra Tech. I've been with them for 22 years.
Yeah, maybe not after this.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't let them know I'm pretending here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm a CAD BIM manager, lead, and also standards developer, content creator for Civil 3D as well, and the civil discipline lead within Tetra Tech. I've many hats, unfortunately, too many that I don't are even aware of. Yeah, and as Bryan said, I'm old, not get off my lawn old, but I've been in AutoCAD since '85.
Dang.
That's get off my lawn old, Bryan.
Yeah.
You started in like junior high though, didn't you?
No, I started sophomore year high school. So
Okay.
yeah, sophomore year high school. I actually the teacher brought in computers, and I was in the drafting department. And he's all like, "Hey, you want to help me set these up?" And I'm, "Oh yeah." So yeah, that was
Awesome.
my 2.5 was the first version of AutoCAD I got onto. So yeah. So when people talk about me, talk about version 14, I'm like, well, which version? 2014 or version 14? There is a difference.
Yeah, I started on release 14, changed jobs, went back to release 13, got them up on 2000.
Ooh, I still get shivers when somebody says 13.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
I started in DOS-based CAD 12. Then we went to 13, which had Windows and DOS, and that was a nightmare because half the computers were still DOS and half were Windows. It was like, ah.
Yep.
Oh,
All right,
guys,
so everybody, if you haven't been to Civil Chat before, this is Civil Chat. This is your opportunity to ask me and everybody else here, and people that are in the just watching, because we don't know it all. Maybe you all know the answers to the questions that get asked. It's your opportunity to ask questions. We will do our best to answer them. This is an off-the-cuff, non-scripted. We're not selling anything. We're just here having fun, letting people ask questions, because honestly, I enjoy this. So Civil Chat is up to y'all. You need to ask the questions. If you don't ask the questions, we're just going to sit around and talk about old versions of CAD, apparently. So make sure you bring some questions. Now, one thing I always like to do is I always like to start off with a tip, a trick, something like that. And one thing that just came up recently, and I figured I'd go ahead and talk about it, is somebody said, "Hey, I need to get lat and long in my drawing." Right? I need to get these latitude and longitude information out of my drawing. So let's talk about that. So in order to be able to do that, the first thing you have to do is you have to have a drawing that is geo-referenced. So let me go ahead and open up a drawing here. Let's see, not that one. Where did I put it? Here. Castle Rock, design, Civil 3D, source, surfaces, and I think it was that one there. I think this one has a coordinate system assigned to it.
Hey, you also need to share a screen.
I need to share my screen. Thank you.
Yep. I just figured you didn't want to see everybody bumbling or watching you bumble around to find the file, because I'm notoriously bad at that. So I thought I'd wait till you found it, just tell you.
Ooh, this guy's got an interesting snap angle to it. So here's something interesting. A lot of people don't know this. You notice my crosshairs are a different angle than my coordinate system. So you can see I'm in world coordinate system. You can see my UCS icon down here. So I'm in world coordinate system, but my crosshairs are rotated. So if you ever need to want to line your crosshairs up with your view and twist them, right? It's called snap ang. Let me turn my dynamic input on here real quick. All right, so snap ang. All right, so this is your snap angle. Right. And so you can see in this drawing, it's set to 311.36. That's an odd snap angle. So I'm going to set that back to 0. And you can see it orients my crosshairs up. This is great if you need to, rotate your view. So if I do a DVIEW twist of 30 degrees, all right, you can see my crosshairs are no longer oriented with the screen, so I can do a snap ang, and I can never remember if you go the same as the twist or the opposite of the twist. Let's try it. So we'll go 30. Yeah, so I went the wrong way. So snap ang of a -30.
You mean you
Because
don't
I
rotate-
twisted at 30, I need to bring the angle back, and you can see my crosshairs are now horizontal with the screen. So it's kind of a cool little tip there. So let me change that back to 0, and I'll do a DVIEW twist back to 0 as well. All right. So I need to get the northing and easting and the latitude and longitude of the end of this line. So what are some ways that we can accomplish this? Well, the first way is you can label it. So in your label set, oh, by the way, this drawing is georeferenced. How do I know that it's georeferenced? Well, I have the geolocation tab available up on the ribbon. So that's a quick feedback. Hey, is the drawing georeferenced? Look up there if you have the geolocation tab. It's got a coordinate system assigned to it. You don't know which one, but you know that it's got something. If it doesn't have that, then you know it's not georeferenced. All right. So the first thing, like I said, is a label. So I've got some label styles up here, and the ones I like to use is notes. If I just need to put like a coordinate in the drawing, we use notes. So I've got this GEI design northing easting. All right. You can also create one that has latitude and longitude. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this one. And it should change this name, but I'm not going to for this. I'm going to come over here to the layout. So the contents of this, I don't want northing and easting, so I'm going to get rid of all of that over there on the right-hand side. And then I'm just going to type in lat, colon, space, and then I'm going to put in my latitude. All right, you can format this however you want, precision, uppercase, lowercase, right? I'm just going to hit the arrow and put it. Don't forget to hit the stupid little unlabeled white arrow. I just had a tech support call with somebody this morning. She was like, hey, how come I can't put negative values on this thing? I go in and I change and it doesn't work. It's like, oh, you forgot to hit the stupid little unlabeled white arrow. And she's like, oh, all right. So don't forget to hit that. And then below that, I'm going to put in long. And then you can put in your longitude. All right. So this is a new label style. And now I can go to the annotate tab up on my ribbon, add labels. And I can use that and simply add that in, snap to the endpoint there, and you can see it allows me to put in latitude and longitude. So that's one way of getting it, and that's if you need to label it in the drawing. All right. If you simply want to know what it is, but you're not really, I really don't care to label it, I just need to find out what the latitude and longitude is, well, then you can use the inquiry tools. So I'm going to come up here to the Analyze tab up on the ribbon. Over here to the right, I have my inquiry tools. So I go ahead and click on the inquiry tools and it brings us out. Let me go ahead and close the labels. I don't need those any longer. All right. Here's another tip for you. If you're dragging a palette around and it keeps trying to dock and you don't want it to dock, hold the control key down and you can place it wherever you want and it won't dock. All right. So you got all sorts of different options for things to inquire. I'm going to use the point and I'm going to use point inverse. Now I'm not trying to inverse points. I'm just trying to get the coordinates here. But the nice thing about this, I'm going to make this a bit bigger here. Come on, resize. There we go. All right. Is I can select a point. I can put in a point number. This drawing doesn't have any points, or at least not a point where I want it to be. So I'm just going to put in the coordinate. So I'm going to hit this little button here, and it allows me to pick a point on the screen. So I'm just going to snap to that endpoint there. And you can see it puts in the northing and the easting, but down below it also puts in the latitude and longitude. So that's a quick way of just, hey, I want to know what the latitude and longitude is of a spot. So again, just some ways of doing this. Brian, do you know of any other ways of doing this? Getting the latitude, longitude of a spot in the drawing?
I do not.
Thanks, Brian. What about you, Brian?
That's an awesome segue. Yeah, I actually call my best friend who's in GIS and I'll have him send him a shapefile and say, hey, can you figure this out for me? But no, this is the method I utilize.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other method other than maybe reports and such that you can get for but that's a long way around.
Yeah, that's a lot of work just to get a couple of data points.
Yep.
Yeah, if you got a whole lot of them to do, you can also, another option is to create points.
Yep.
And then you can export those points with the latitude, longitude in the export. So that's an option as well.
Lisa says coordinate tracker.
Coordinate tracker. I don't know if that would work. I don't think I've ever used a coordinate tracker. Have you used a coordinate tracker?
No,
Is that this one?
I'm
ID point.
constantly using the station tracker for your profiles, but
Coordinate tracker. I was hoping. Lisa, where is the coordinate tracker? It's got to be on up here somewhere. Maybe it's under. Maybe you expand it out. No, it's minimum distance. Mass props. I don't know where the coordinate tracker would be.
Brandon also said he places the point and then just edits the point to see the info.
Yeah, that's another way of doing it. True. So you can just create a point. So we'll just go points, create point creation tools. I'll just create a manual point. At the end there, the description doesn't matter. The elevation doesn't matter. I've got the point there. And then if I go edit list points or edit points, does it have the latitude and longitude up here? Yep, there it is. Latitude and longitude. Yep, there's another way. It's the hamburger.
Somebody was asking about the DVIEW Twist, if there was an automated way to do that.
Yeah, so and then Tom said it's a hamburger, and Lisa followed up as the one with the lower right 3 lines. Doesn't know the name of the icon.
Yeah, this button down here. It's referred to. You got the bun, you got the burger, you got the bun. It's the hamburger. Am I just blind?
I was thinking chocolate cake. Looks like a nice layered chocolate cake to me, but hey. View palettes, view tab, palettes, coordinate tracker.
There you
go. That's not for me.
I know, but you read it, so thank you.
Thomas, that's too few layers for a chocolate cake. Well, if you consider the gray layers in between the white layers, also the filling, then it's a 3-layer cake with
coordinate tracker. There you go. Hey, this is not something I've ever used. Cool. I'm learning something new today. Look at that. So as I mouse around, I can see the X, the Y. I don't see the Z though. I don't need a surface. I'm not sure how to get the.
Yeah, how do you get it to the?
How do I get the latitude and longitude? 3 squares.
Is there a settings on the side there on the bar? Does that do anything?
That's just your palette settings.
Just your settings. Okay.
Yeah. Let's go to the help. No, there wouldn't be no one. I'm not saying anything about lat and long in here. That makes sense to have it in here.
John says there's no lat and long in coordinate tracker.
Yeah. It makes sense to have it here.
If you could have just answered that a long time ago, John, we wouldn't have had to sit there and struggle in the whole find the button thing.
Right? All right. So I'm not sure if we're going to have enough time to answer all of the questions that we've got. Bryan, you want to hit us with the first one?
Yeah, so let's get up to the first question. What is the worst feature in AutoCAD or Civil 3D in your recent memory?
The worst feature?
Yeah.
AutoCAD Civil.
Just the whole program. That's
no, Civil, not Civil 3D. So it was the Civil 3D Lite.
Oh.
Lasted for about I don't know what, a year, 2 years, something like that, and then they got rid of it. It was intended for surveyors, so it didn't have any of like the roadway design stuff.
Why they call it Civil?
Yeah, I don't know.
I was answering Hatch.
The Hatch command?
Yep. It always blows up my system.
Yeah.
Mainly because trying to hatch it in a 3D realm, AutoCAD doesn't like that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, my thing would be the explode.
Oh, I love explode.
They should have limits to what you could explain. Back in the old days when I used to know shit about AutoCAD, I would actually disable that command because I forget how in AutoCAD you can disable commands. I disabled the explode command.
Yeah. Oh, probably the blip mode.
Blip mode.
Blip mode.
See, I
Yeah,
have
this
children.
is something you can do to have fun with somebody else because it's just a stupid command. So if blip mode, right? And it says, oh
Yeah.
no, there's an unknown command, blip mode. So you type redefine blip mode. And then when you type blip mode, it says, oh, what do you want the value to be? So you have to redefine blip mode before you can run blip mode. And then you can set it to 1 and turn it on. And then you can undefine blip mode. Now you may be asking yourself, Brian, what does blip mode do? Well, every time you click on the screen, it leaves behind a little blip.
My God, I forgot about that. That used to be default in the DOS space days, and you had to hit F5.
That
to
is
get
blip
all of them.
mode. Now it's not the end of the world because as soon as I pan, zoom, or whatever, they go away, but they come back every time you click on the screen. And somebody will be like, oh, wait, that was blip mode. Let me turn that off. Unknown command.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so we talked about the old versions in DOS. That's how it used to be. I didn't know there was a system variable for it. I don't know if there was, and so you had to hit F5. And when you panned and zoomed, they stayed on the screen.
yeah.
So you literally had to hit F5 to clear it every single time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's blip mode. That's probably my least. I don't know. I have fun with that one. Like I said, it's fun to do to somebody else.
I don't know. You get a lot of it. Joel says the CUI.
CUI. Yeah, I guess CUI could be better. I mean, it works.
Thomas says the darn arrow from before
Oh yeah.
shit or updating Kogo points. I don't know what the before exclamation points are.
Yeah, he's talking about this stupid arrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dynamic north arrow and scale.
Yeah.
I'll agree
Yeah,
with that one.
that's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to implement those. I went online. It's like, hey, I'm trying to implement these to our company, and everybody's like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't.
Does it also reset your guys's sometimes your viewports back to 0, 0?
I don't know. I never implemented it.
Okay, yeah.
Just because I've heard so many horror stories
it is
like that.
Yeah, it was easier for us to write in a Lisp to a block that would auto rotate based on the viewport.
Yeah.
So much
So,
easier that way.
Yeah. And for our title, for our viewport, so let me go ahead and create a, see, we'll go GI tools, blend set, standard layouts. We'll go horizontal here. All right. So if I want to bring in, like, let's say, for example, come on. Let's see, what scale should we set this to? We'll set this to a 20 scale. 1 inch equals 20 feet. All right. So the way we do this, if I come over to my symbols, where's my G? There we go. Title styles. So if I bring in something, say, for example, this plan title style for this viewport, I don't know, I'm just going to set it here. All right. So what I want folks to do now is put in a field.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So insert a field that can reference the object, which is the viewport.
Yep.
And it can put in the
Custom scale up top.
Custom scale. Thank you. Use the scale name.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And apparently that was wrong. What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. Anyways, it should be able to put that value in. Is it custom scaled?
It would be. It should be custom
Yeah, it should
scale.
be custom scale.
Do you have a
Excellent.
scale set to it?
Yeah, I set it 1 inch equals 20 feet.
Huh, interesting.
Select the wrong thing. That's the viewport. Do I have something underneath it? No. All right. What the hell did I do wrong? All right, let's just try and change the scale here. Which equals 30, 40, general. Yeah, there it goes. Maybe there's something weird with that 1 inch equals 20.
What's so really
There's something
nice-
wrong with that
yeah.
1 inch equals 20 scale.
Yeah. You know what I love about this is linking it is you're never really out of scale, because even if somebody does accidentally zoom in and they don't lock their viewport, it'll reflect the scale. So you know, when it comes back.
There we go. Yeah, so apparently I've got an extra scale in here that's 1 inch equals 20, but it's named Model Eng, and it was hitting that first one in that list. So I've got something to add to my to-do list.
Tom said there's probably another scale in the drawing that might have the same units as 1 to 20.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That Mod Eng had the exact same units as the 1 to 20. And I think because it was first in the list, it was picking up on that one first. Scale list.
If you click on the link in the chat, Thomas posted a link to a Autodesk support page about how to see lat and longitude on the cursor.
Ooh.
Is it here? This thing here? Aha! Look at that. So as I move my mouse around now, you can see down here the drawing coordinates. They're in lat and long. All right, so 39 point something, 39, yep, 104. Yep, there you go. So basically all I did is right click on the drawing coordinates down here. Now these have to be displayed. If these aren't being displayed, then you have to hit the hamburger. Remember, we talked about the hamburger earlier. And that's the coordinates up here at the very top. That will toggle that on and off. And then once it's on, you can right click on it and choose either to be geographic or absolute. So absolute is the XY. Geographic is the geographic. I didn't know that was an option.
And then John wants to know now what happens if you go to the coordinate tracker.
Ooh. No, still absolute. Good call though.
You always love it when you.
I wonder if you can change this to specific. What happens if I change it to specific? Ah, check that out. So it doesn't track it. So if this is set to specific, if I change that to specific, then it's just where I click. It doesn't track it as I move my mouse. It's interesting.
I wonder if things like that actually make performance issue. Like if it's constantly tracking you, it's constantly updating what's going on. So by switching that to be specific, if you never use that feature, does it actually speed up the program?
Probably if I was still using a 286.
With 8 gigs of RAM.
With 8 megs of RAM.
8 megs of RAM. Cute. Pardon me. Yeah, with a 256 megabyte hard drive.
Yep. Probably back then it would.
And hoping you can upgrade to the Pentium one day.
Yeah.
I still follow the fact that I don't have any of my flyouts active for my layers or my layer managers or anything like that, nor do I have anything tracking. No. Also, I go to that little wrench that's in your command prompt and turn off all of the autocorrect, autocomplete, auto search. Yeah, that thing I find for a lot of people, if you've utilized CAD a lot, that could actually mess up some of your type in commands and get you to doing other things instead of, because I know that when somebody's trying to autocorrect and autocomplete me and search all my variables all at the same time, it'll definitely bog me down.
Well, you can change the delay time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, this is input. This is what, milliseconds. So it's what, 0.3 of a second.
Yep. So you can
set
change
it
that to 1,000.
Like 1,000. And then as you're typing, it waits a second before it pops up options.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'll play around with that. Set back to the default for now.
Yep. And using that tab to autocomplete, great suggestion. I do that all the time, especially for long words that I don't know how to spell, because my spelling's real good.
So what's kind of on the what's the worst command? What's the longest command, Brian?
Well, let me see. There's publish collate. There's also convert p styles.
That's a good one.
Let's see. Other commands that I just loathe typing in. Okay, so the problem is I've turned a lot of them into
shortcuts.
into shortcuts. I think the worst command is that file tab preview.
Line work shrink wrap. That's a good one, Charlie.
Yeah, at least it's a word. It's not like HP DLG mode.
Yeah.
Where you got
geomarker visibility. That's a long one.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Add segment label, line work shrink wrap. Yeah. The longest one that I know of is, let's see if I can type this right. So convert line work to mask block.
Oh my gosh.
That's the longest one that I know.
John's like, that's why we use autofill.
Right?
Yeah, that's where you hit that
The
old
minimum
tab
distances between surfaces. There's another good one. But yeah, this was actually an undocumented command. So if I draw a rectangle in here and I do convert line work to mask block, I can select the polyline. This is like a throwback to AutoCAD architecture, I believe. All right, so I can mask AEC objects on, and this just masks AEC objects. So I hit OK. And I don't know, front. Jen?
did a really good job of masking those.
Yeah, right.
It's no longer
yeah.
an AEC object.
Right. It's a weird.
That is interesting. Oh wow.
So I created this new object. Maybe that's in the back. Front. No. Yeah, but it's supposed to be, you know, like if, hey, I just need to mask these AEC objects. Like I said, it's undocumented. It's not a supported command. Play around with it if you want to. Just like the AEC modify tools here are all undocumented as well. Did you all know that those were there on your right click menu?
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. That comes from my old AutoCAD architecture days.
Right. So these are some AEC modified tools. Like I said, I think these are a throwback to the AutoCAD architecture. They do some unique things. I haven't really spent a whole lot of time with them. I just know they're there. So maybe go play around with them.
And Ian did say having the auto tracking turned on instead of whatever it was will slow you down with VDI platforms.
With what platforms?
VDI. So if you're doing your virtual desktop. Can slow you down based on your.
Yeah, I bet it could. Yeah, so Chris put in the chat that Civil is built on architecture, so it stands to reason that some of those commands are available. Yeah, and that's why those commands are available. One that I was having trouble with, and it turns out to be an issue with one of our templates that I've since fixed, is we would get some people that would open up a drawing and create some Civil 3D stuff, and none of the Civil 3D objects would display on the screen. They were created, but turn on all of your layers, change the styles, no matter what you did to these objects, they would not display.
Sounds
Turned out to be, and I've been using, like I said, I've been using Civil 3D since the preview release back when it came out in the 2004 version, right? I've been using it since then. I had never run across this until I got here at GEI. It's the display manager. For whatever reason, I came into the display manager, came down to sets and plan, and everything underneath general was unchecked. And so if you wanted to see an alignment, you didn't see it. So if I come down here and I toggle off the tin surface, I think it's tin surface, elemental B, QRS, T.
Is this by drawing or is this by
This is by drawing.
Oh man, I feel a great prank coming on.
And there goes the surface.
I now know the reason why I attend this. This is how to prank my colleagues.
I see a prank list routine to turn like them off all the time.
Arbitrarily just turn it on and off. Oh, terrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. And I don't know why it would so we have an AutoCAD template and a Civil 3D template, and the AutoCAD template, all that stuff was turned off. Also, we were seeing, so if I go into the drawing settings, we're seeing inches being displayed up here.
Yeah.
So that's an indication that, hey, this came from an AutoCAD architecture drawing.
Yeah. Get that frequently.
Yeah, it's not an option. how can I set it if it's not an option? Anyway,
I think that other thing right there before you go out of that command
I didn't
is
go out
one
of
of
any command. I don't know what you're talking about.
is that set AutoCAD variables to match.
Here, yep.
Yeah. Does anybody see an advantage to that, especially when going between multiple disciplines?
Really the only thing that I know of that it changes is if I change meters here and I go into my units, it's meters here,
Okay, go back.
but I don't know
and,
what else it would do.
It also resets your international to US survey if you're not careful.
John says, yes, it's very good, even with microstation conversions.
So if you change that the imperial to metric conversion from US survey to
Oh, I can't because I'm in a
yeah,
state
because you're in a
plane.
coordinate. Yeah, that's true. This is where we were getting messed up is we had that
Stop.
set in our standards.
There we go.
Yeah, we had that.
All right,
set
so
in
if
our
it's
standards,
set to
and
US survey feet and I go into my units,
yep.
US survey feet, which is what it should be. If I change this to international feet,
Yep.
and then if I go into my units, it's feet, which is the way it should be.
However, can you go back to that? Because there's something that I've been debating with Autodesk on in the fact that it is not a unit setting. That's an imperial to metric conversion. It's not setting the units. So it shouldn't be setting my units to imperial or US survey foot.
It says it's a conversion, but I still think it's a unit.
No, it's supposed to be just a conversion. This is where I was arguing with them on that fact, because many a times most people don't pay attention to that. Or if an AutoCAD person doesn't have Civil 3D.
You're assuming that the Autodesk like names commands the way they're supposed to be named.
Oh, so it's not really a bug, it's a feature.
Right. You know, it's like if hey, I've got an alignment in here. I don't think there's alignment in here, right? I want to bring up the alignment editing tools. What do? I go home, alignment creation tools, right? No, this creates a new alignment. This should be named create new alignment. Like under surfaces. Oh, hey, I've got a corridor. It'd be really nice to be able to create a surface from a corridor. So I'm going to come down here to create surface from corridor. No, you have to have a surface created from a corridor before you can use the command create surface from corridor. This, for those of you that don't know, this copies a dynamic corridor surface to be a static surface in your drawing. Same thing with create surface from grading. So this should say, and I think the reason they did this because they didn't have enough room on the ribbon for this. This should say copy a dynamic corridor surface and make it a static surface. But like I said, they tried to shorten it up.
That's a long name to type in.
Right.
John said it's a scale factor. It's a 4-digit conversion versus a fractional conversion.
Yeah, but as far as the drawing goes, it's the unit of the drawing.
Well, the further you are from 0, the more of an impact it'll make on your drawings when you're XREFing a US survey foot into a regular international foot.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
And so you've got somebody that's kind of in AutoCAD that can't make that change, it creates massive problems down the road.
Yeah. So here, does anybody off the top of your head, does anybody know what the conversion factor is from US foot to the international foot?
No.
0.3048.
No, that's from meters to
that's meters to feet,
man.
And also John typed in.
I know. It's a 0.0. It's
2 parts per million.
Yeah, it works out to be about 2 parts per million. It's 0.999998.
I thought it was only 4 nines.
No, it's 5 nines.
Yeah, it's 5 nines. Okay.
All right. If you take the inverse of that, it's 0.00002.
Yeah, that's what somebody was typing.
0.00004. Here, let's just do that. So 1 divided by 0.99. Oops. 999998. And I love this number because it's 1.0000002 00004 8 16 32 64 128 256 512
sounds like my memory.
1024. This is the coolest number ever. it only has a repeating period of 26,670 digits because it is a fraction. Right? It is a rational number, so it repeats every 26,000. And then I got to playing around that. If we happen to put another 9 in here, just because I was curious, the repeating decimal is only 2,499,999. It's just a cool number. Anyways. All right. Do we have any questions, Brian?
We had a few questions come up.
All right.
Somebody said, what is your quick way to perform a DVIEW twist that based on a line or 2 points? And a whole bunch of people responded they use list routines for that, but
so if I have a line and I want to do a DVIEW twist to this, snapping, and then go from end to end. Oops. That'll set your angle, and then if you hit it again, it tells you what the angle is. So 37. I'm just going to assume it's 37, and then a DVIEW twist of 30 minus 37. Right. There we go. So I would do the snap angle first, snap end to end. That tells me what the angle is, and then I can do my DVIEW twist to match that angle. If I'm not using list routines. But yeah, that would be a really simple list routine to create. And I'm sure there's 100 gazillion of them out there that have been created by countless CAD users. Yeah, John mentioned in the chat that NOAA, at National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, it drops the U.S. survey feet this December. Yeah, which means we can get rid of it out of CAD, right?
That's right. Here's to hoping.
Yeah. So it's good because anything that's new won't be using U.S. survey feet, but we still have stuff that are old. I mean, sure, we don't use chains anymore, but there's still surveys that are done in chains or
rod and
furlongs or yeah. So as long as the units are still being used to describe real properties, they're gonna be used in CAD. And John, it's not so much about the surveyors changing, it's about the backlog of documents that we already have that were done that way.
Well, what I find so interesting is it wasn't until 2017 release that did they introduce U.S. survey foot as a unit in AutoCAD.
Right, in AutoCAD, yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah, Thomas put up a link to the NOAA thing. All right.
Thomas also said it'd be great to have a list routine that would combine DVIEW twist and snap angle. I think that's a request for any of the geeks on the line.
Oh, that's what I was talking about. I'm sure there's a gazillion of them out there.
I've got one that does that, and yeah, you can pick 2 places. The one thing I did do, because I found one off of, I don't know, Catalyst, but I went in and changed it so that way, if you want to go back to 0, you just type in 0, and it doesn't rescale or it doesn't zoom extents. It keeps the same scale of where you're at. So if you're in a viewport, it won't wreck your scale in the viewport.
And that's why I love the DVIEW twist rather than using the UCS to try to twist it, because DVIEW twist, I don't know, 45 degrees, it leaves you zoomed in on that spot.
Yep,
I love that about the DVIEW twist.
Yep.
Tom says he'll add his to the YouTube posting once Brian posts the YouTube video.
Sweet. Thanks, Tom.
Cool. And Charlie did say, that snap angle when you open up the file was set to something random. It's really nice if you put it to 0 before you save and close.
Yeah, it probably would be, Charlie.
Shoot,
really handy, especially if somebody decides to use your drawing for a presentation in front of thousands of people. Right, Charlie? That would be great, Charlie. By the way, this is Charlie's drawing.
All right, I think we have a real question. Do you use Layer State Manager much? Could you cover some examples and explain the benefits of the Layer State Manager?
Layer State Manager. I don't use it a whole lot, but I can see places where it could be really helpful. What about you, Brian? Do you guys use it much, Layer State Manager?
Yes, we do.
Oh, wrong one. Yeah, layer states manager.
Yeah, we will do this for standardization throughout because, typically here at Tetra Tech, we do our best to do one sheet per drawing. Unless it's like a road layout that's like road A or street A, we'll do, multiple layouts in that. And then there's also criteria for it. This is going to be a long-winded answer, so everybody hold on.
I'd expect nothing less from you, man.
Yeah, we'll utilize this so that way we can just quickly make a change and then have to go through, because I mean, how often do you get everything in your drawing that the way you want it the first time? Or we never add layers after we've generated the sheets. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, we will use that, and then we'll also use filters a lot too.
Yeah, we use filters a lot. So if I go into my layers, you can see we got lots of filters built into our template. So, if I'm looking for civil 3D objects, there's all my object layers. I'm looking for the water. Here's my watersheds. Here's my civil utility. So we use layer filters a lot. One place that I can see being really helpful for layer manager, and this isn't so much more for a production thing, it's more of a, hey, I'm designing thing, right? So I've got a small project. In this project, I've got my water lines, my sewer lines, and my storm lines all in the same drawing, right? And I'm focusing on my water lines. So I can save a layer state in the design drawing that turns on and off all the layers that I want. So as I'm doing my water line design, I see the layers that I want displayed the way I want. And then when I switch to the storm sewer design, well, now I'm going to switch to a different layer state. So it's going to gray back the water lines. It's going to put them back so they're not quite as bold and in your face, but it's going to bring up the storm stuff really bold, and so I can see it really well. And then when it's time to do the sanitary, it grays back the storm and the water and brings up in the front, so to speak, the sanitary. Yep. So it's more of a, hey, as I'm designing this stuff, I want to see things differently to help me as I'm doing my design. So that's another place that I can see it being used.
Absolutely. And you get everybody else on board, and it becomes something that's regulated throughout, and it works fantastic.
Yeah.
So Ian says he likes using it for thinning down for Navisworks exports.
Yep, that'll work too. Yeah.
How so?
Turning stuff on and off and then exporting only what's visible.
Okay. Yep.
You can import those into another drawing without having to export to a file first.
Yeah, because you can actually just bring it from a drawing to another drawing instead of creating the .las.
Yeah, so LMAN is one way of bringing it up. You can type LMAN, and then you can also go into your layer properties manager, and it's this button right here. Yeah, there's your layer states manager, same thing. Right. And the nice thing about this is if you have layer state saved in other drawings, you don't have to export them. Right, so you don't have to export them and then import them. You can just import them directly from another drawing.
Yep.
Yeah. So that makes it really handy.
Simon says he uses them to convert the layers to black, white, gray for the people who have to link it into Revit.
Oh,
why would you do that? Who cares?
Yeah, why in the world would you do that? That's useless information.
Simon's in a multidisciplinary
What is this Revit
firm.
that you're talking about?
He does it for like Bryan Haley. He's in a multidisciplinary firm. He's nice to his structural engineers.
Yeah, it's really nice when doing that, because us at work in Revit, we only work in line weights.
Yeah.
That's it.
So speaking of since we don't have any more questions really, this is something that's kind of nice. If you go into, come to life. Thank you. Let's see. Let's zoom out. Set a scale. Let's see, 1 to 100. Let's do 1 to 50. There we go. That looks good. All right. Okay. Lock your viewport. All right, I didn't want Bryan yelling at me. All right. So one thing that you can do is if you go into your page setup manager. So you can't access from plot. So plot, you get all the same settings as if you go into your page setup manager. So if you right click on the layout tab, come on, where are you? Flashing it. Okay, let's try this again. Is it doing an autosave or something? Maybe it was. I think I missed that time.
Wow.
Whenever I see that happen
There
to
we
me,
go. Wow.
whenever I see that happen
was
to me, it's
difficult.
usually because my hand's touching the touchpad or something stupid on the
Yeah.
mouse on the
So if you
laptop.
go into your page setup manager and you modify the page setup, this is the same settings you get with the plot. Well, almost. You get the option to display plot styles.
Ugh.
All right, so if you want to see what your plot drawing is going to plot like without doing a plot
Yep.
preview, there you go.
Yeah, it's really cool, but boy, it confuses some people. I've had people like, I can't get what's going on. I
And
can't
there's
get my
another one
colors.
of those practical
Yeah.
jokes for you.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Right. So, but it comes in handy at times. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I just want to,
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to make sure that this is going to plot right, and I'm changing some layer stuff, and I don't want to have to constantly go into the plot preview. Just turn on that option. And again, if you go into plot, this dialog box is almost exactly the same, but it doesn't have that option here.
Yeah.
So it's just in the page setup.
See, as a Revit user, I don't see what you guys are complaining about this view.
No. You should be saying change the background to white so it changes to gray and black.
So there's that display plot styles in the page setup. So it's just something interesting. I find it useful on occasion. Oh, y'all are light on the questions today.
A question came up from Chris in the chat pod. So what are your thoughts on the 22 corridor targeting improvements? Have you used 22.2?
When they first came out, I was like, I'm not sure I like these, but with the changes that they've made recently, I like them a lot better. So let me open up a drawing that has a corridor in it.
Now, when you say change recently, do you mean 22.2 or 23?
I believe it's 22.2.
Okay.
I think, and I believe it's in 23 as well, if I remember correctly. Well, we're going to find out here really soon. So if let's see, I go into my tutorial drawings, see Autodesk, AutoCAD 2023, C3D, help, civil tutorials, drawings, and let's go into the quantities drawing because I know this has a corridor in it. Probably should have gone into one of the corridor drawings because it has more things it can target. Let me switch to a different drawing. There we go. All right, so if I select the corridor up on the ribbon, I can edit targets. I then pick a point in that region, hit enter, and this is what you were talking about. So before the changes, this would actually go off the screen. So over here on the left, you can see what it's targeting. On the right-hand side over here, you can see the different sub-assemblies. So you get a much more overall view of the whole thing. So I can say, hey, these are my targets. And when I select it, down below, I can see what it is targeting, and I can change it to target something else, right? So as I select it, the different things that can target something, I can see down below what it is they're targeting. Likewise, over here on the right-hand side, I can see what they're targeting as well. When this routine first came out, so in 2022, was it .1 or is it 2022? I don't know. Anyways, before the way it looks now, all of this stuff here by default would be off the right-hand side, and you'd have a slider bar that you'd have to slide back and forth to be able to see it all. I don't know if I can make this smaller. And yeah, so you can see it auto sizes now to fit it all in there. Before, this would be off to the side, and so you couldn't see the stuff on the right-hand side. When you scroll over to the right, then you couldn't see the stuff on the left-hand side. So that's what I didn't like about it. But now that they've made this change, I'm starting to grow to it. It's starting to grow on me. One really nice thing about this, so if I've got a width target, let's say, for example, I can come down here and I can select all of the objects that are on a layer. I can just toggle this on and it will select everything that's on the layer. So a great example, I saw a class at AU years ago, obviously, because AU was years ago, that was talking about putting in driveway cuts for a residential road. And what they did is they drew a polyline where they wanted their sidewalk cuts, or their curb cuts for the driveway. And they'd put those in, but they'd have to set all of those as targets. And then if you added a new polyline in there for a new driveway, well, you'd have to go edit the corridor to use those new objects. Now you can actually select things based off of a layer. And if you add things to the layer, then they automatically get added as a target. Now, this is not something I've used before, but my understanding is there's something you have to do in order to get those new targets to be used. One of the things is bring up this dialog box, and that will add them in. And the other one, if I remember correctly, was something up here, maybe it was a right click.
I know in what was it? When did they change that interface? Was it 21 to 2022, or was it in 21? Because
I don't recall.
I really like the new interface, much better than having to go up there and hit the target and going down and finding that all the way through.
Yeah.
But I was doing just that with our driveway cuts, is adding polylines on a specific layer called driveway cuts. And you would but you could add it to a layer. You could select the entity from the layer, but you would have to go back in there and just reselect the layer for it to add any new ones. I don't know why. I don't know if that was just a glitch or an AutoCAD feature, but yeah, I haven't used targeting too much in the new because in my 2023, I got a .NET error whenever editing an old corridor. So it's I'm still working with Autodesk on that.
Okay. Yeah. But there was something else to do to get its update. I think the easiest thing is just go edit the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, like I said, I haven't used these a whole lot. If I split this region, and I'm guessing here because I haven't actually tried this. When you go edit targets, you can say, hey, I want something in this region and this region, and it brings up the targets for just those regions.
Yeah, which is super nice.
Right. So you can edit multiple regions at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Whereas before you had to go into which region, or yeah, you couldn't do it all at once.
Right. You'd have to edit the regions, the targets for one. And then if they were the same, exactly the same as the others, and then you can match parameters.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I want this region and this region to target this polyline, and this region to target that other polyline, but the rest of them to target the same surface, everything. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I haven't used it a whole lot, but what I've seen of it, I like.
Yeah.
You did get a question. Tom asked, suggestions for entering alignments from DOT plans, bearings and station plus degrees of curve, but no radius.
Bearing and station. So that'd be bearing and distance.
Plus degree of curve, but no radius. Hire an
Now
intern.
is the bearing and station to the PI or to the point of curvature? I don't think I've ever seen plans like, I'm not sure exactly which plans you're referring to. Tom? He's thinking probably.
In-game boss came in, he had to cover it up. No, I'm being billable. Distance determined by station start and end. I'll send you an example for next time.
Start. Okay, so I think combination of the transparent command. So up here on the transparent command, so I say, hey, I want to start here and I want to go a station. So that's a distance. So you'd have to convert it to a distance, and then you can do bearing and distance, right? All right, so let's say that's that bearing and distance. And then to add a curve off the end of this with a radius of curvature, what was it? A degree of curvature instead of a radius. I used to know how to do this. So would that be under draw?
Joel says use the curve calculator. It'll solve the radius degree of curvature.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. There's a curve calculator. Is it here? Here, curve calculator. So yeah, we've got this curve calculator, lets you change all sorts of fun stuff here. So if I put in a degree of curvature of, say, I don't know, 3 degrees, then you can see it gives me a radius of 1909.85393 feet. Oh. So that's one way of converting between degree of curvature. Does everybody know what degree of curvature is? Because this comes up on a chance. All right. So basically what degree of curvature is it says, okay, I've got a chain, 100 feet, and on this curve, so let me draw a curve in here. Let's see, let me do it this way. Start over, polyline. I got this nice long curve. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a circle at the end here with a radius of 100 feet. And then I'm gonna draw a polyline from the end of this to the center of that, and then to this intersection here. And then I'm gonna draw a straight line from there to there, right? So basically what I've got is I've got a chord that's 100 feet long of this arc, all right? And the angle between this arc, between this chord and the original line is the degree of curvature. So when you hear the term degree of curvature, that's what it means. Now, I have heard of situations where people use a different distance for the degree of curvature. So this is a 100-foot degree of curvature. Some places use different values. So for example, if you're using a metric system, I don't know if they use degree of curvature in the metric system at all, but I doubt they use 100 feet. So it's something to keep in mind, but that's the concept behind degree of curvature. So if is it settings? Ambient settings, degree of curvature, you can see there's the unit chord length and the unit arc length. So this is, if you can actually change this number, and your degree of curvature will change for the same arc because it's based off of a different chord length. So it's something to be aware of. 100 meters is used, Thomas. Great, thank you. All right. Well, it looks like it is 12:30. Bryan, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. And Bryan, thanks as always for helping out.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we'll get this recorded up, posted up on YouTube for anybody to peruse later. And thank you all for coming. And hey, make sure you tell all of your friends and family and anybody else that might enjoy coming. And because like I said, this is just something we do, and word of mouth is the only advertising we can afford. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Thanks all. Bye.